now we can move on to the second research talk for this session, which is on the paper Joint Path-Based Data Augmentation for Decision Trees, and it will be presented by Andra Ionescu. So Andra, yeah, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello. First of all, do you hear me well?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, and do you also see the slides moving? I guess no.
Yeah, we also see some tabs at the top, so
No
maybe you
problem.
want to be full screen, but but it's all right. Yeah, no problem at all.
Okay, awesome. Then I will start my presentation. Hello, everybody. I'm Andra Ionescu, and today I will present our work, Joint Path-Based Data Augmentation for Decision Trees. So I will start by presenting a bit about automated machine learning, because nowadays we rely a lot on automated machine learning because it reduces the time required to perform model selection, feature engineering, and hyperparameter tuning. And lately, part of AutoML, automatic data augmentation, has emerged. And data augmentation aims to improve the amount and diversity of the data. So we need the data augmentation to either add more data points to our data sets or to add more features. And in our work, we focus on adding more features. So we focus on automatic augmentation of tabular data, where the tables are connected by primary key, foreign key relationships, and thus forming join paths. Furthermore, we study the augmentation process using indirect foreign tables, which are actually tables discovered over a join path longer than one hop. And finally, using these indirect foreign tables, we investigate whether the performance of decision trees improves. We focus on decision trees only because our intuition says that we can integrate the feature important measures which decision trees use internally in the automatic augmentation process. And with this, we aim to create a ranking function which tells which join paths are important without actually having to train the machine learning model. And next, let's have a look at the state of the art and understand how we differ. So the state of the art uses feature target correlation methods to discover highly relevant features for classification. Moreover, they investigate whether the new tables bring additional information, and then they assess their impact on the performance of the machine learning models. Other research focuses on the optimizations to make the augmentation process faster, and then judge the importance of the features by comparing them with random noise. And what these approaches have in common is the fact that they assume that the useful tables are directly joinable with the base table. And moreover, they use model accuracy as the relevant factor for choosing the new features. Next, I will use a running example to show how the state-of-the-art approaches fall short and what we do differently. So let's take this small data set as an example, where we have the base table in the left part, the kidney disease, which contains several features, and we also have the label class. Then we have three more tables, two directly connected with our base table, and one in the indirect foreign table, the cell info. As a data scientist, I will use my base table to train my machine learning model, my decision tree model. And I observed that the accuracy is not what I expected, because I get an accuracy of 71.25. So therefore, I used to choose data augmentation to improve my table. the dummy approach consists of joining all the tables I find. So here I will join my base table with all the other 3 tables. And then I will rely on the feature selection algorithms to select the best feature and improve my algorithm. And we see that just joining the tables already results in a model with high accuracy. We get 96.25%. However, I can see that the depth of the tree also increased. And now I have to rely on the feature selection methods and dimensionality reduction techniques, so I can obtain an optimal model. So my model won't be prone to overfitting or underfitting, or in this case, actually overfitting. So in the end, this whole process takes a lot of time and a lot of steps. Then what the state-of-the-art approaches can point me to, the one that I talked about in the previous slide, are these directly joinable tables. So we can see that here we have 2 possible join paths, right? The blood analysis and the patient disease. And by just trying out both tables, I obtained the highest accuracy using the second path. However, even if the accuracy slightly increased, I see that the decision tree still overfits, so the depth of the tree is still quite high. Therefore, I still have to rely on other techniques such as feature selection and dimensionality reduction. So in the end, the process still requires multiple steps. But luckily, I didn't have to go over all the possible join paths and perform all the possible joins. Now, with our approach, we are able to detect a longer path, which actually contains the relevant features for classification. So now we see that using the longer path with both blood analysis and cell info, the accuracy of the model increases to 95.75. Although it's not as good as joining all the features, I can see that the model is better because the tree depth also decreased. So now my model is not prone to overfitting anymore. So our goal is to find a subset of tables with similar model performance to the join all approach. And we aim at selecting at finding the subset of features which result in a more performant model, thus reducing the time spent on the feature selection. And how do we do this? Well, given a table with features and a target column, and a set of candidate tables with primary key, foreign key relations between them, we return a ranked list of join paths. But in order to do this, we first transform the tabular data into a graph structure, which we call the dataset relation graph. This is a cyclic graph where the nodes correspond to the columns, and we have 2 types of edges. The primary key, foreign key edge, to denote the relation between the tables, and the sibling edge, which denotes the fact that the columns belong to the same table. Having this, the first step of our approach implies enumerating all the join paths. So essentially, we traverse the dataset relation graph in a breadth-first search manner, and we enumerate all the possible paths. The last step of our approach is ranking, and we rank according to the contribution to the decision tree model. And we use filter-based feature selection methods to generate the score for ranking. And essentially, these methods look at the feature target correlation, and we use that score for ranking. Now, our experimental setup contains 4 data sets which we collected from Kaggle. They are all data sets used for decision tree binary classification. Moreover, we split the data sets into multiple tables and generated join paths. And if we look here in the table in the 3rd column, we see the number of indirect foreign tables. We see that we have 2 small data sets with only 3 tables and 2 slightly bigger data sets with 7 and 9 foreign tables. And having a multiple data sets, multiple tables means that the length of the join path is also bigger. Now, in our experiments, we crafted 4 evaluation scenarios. First, we compared the non-augmented table with the best ranked join path that we found using our approach, and we call this the best ranked approach. And here we are interested in measuring the accuracy. Secondly, we compare our best ranked approach against the join all approach, which means joining all the tables. And here we are interested in measuring not only the accuracy, but also the runtime and the tree depth. Then we would like to see if our approach is robust against the different filter-based feature selection methods. And here we tested 5 methods: the information gain with entropy, the information gain with Gini index, the Spearman correlation, symmetrical uncertainty, and relief F. And finally, we want to see if our approach is robust against various decision tree models, such as ID3, CART, and XGBoost. So for the third and the fourth scenario, we are measuring the accuracy, and we are also looking at the join path length. Now, let's talk about the results. So first, we looked at the accuracy for the first scenarios, where we compare our approach with the join all and with the non-augmented cases. We can see that using data augmentation indeed results in an increase in the model accuracy, because both best rank and join all approach have a higher accuracy than the non-augmented approach. We can also see that the join all has a higher accuracy than our approach. And this was something that we expected, because joining all the tables means that we bring in all the relevant features for classification. But on the other hand, when we look at the runtime and the depth of the tree, we see that our approach is better than the join all approach. So it is faster, and also it outputs a more optimal tree. But unexpectedly, we've seen an interesting behavior of the decision tree models. So here in this plot, we see the trade-off between efficiency and the model ability to generalize. And we see when we look at the XGBoost, so the last dots, we see that when there are more, when the feature space is bigger, XGBoost takes a longer time to actually find an optimal result. But in the end, the result is the optimal one. And we can see that the depth of the tree for the join all approach and our approach is similar or very similar. Now, on the other hand, when we look at the CART decision tree model, this model is very fast, so there's not such much difference between our approach and the join all approach, but there is a difference in the tree depth. So this algorithm doesn't take too much time, and it outputs the first solution. Next, when we look at the robustness against the filter-based feature selection methods, we can see that compared to the non-augmented datasets, which represent the horizontal black line, our approach shows a general increase in the accuracy. However, the join path length is very much dependent on the dataset. And we can see that for the football dataset, which is our bigger dataset, 3 out of 5 feature selection methods find paths longer than 1. While for the other smaller datasets, only 1 method can find paths longer than 1. Therefore, the configuration of the datasets, meaning the way the highly correlated feature is displaced in the dataset, impacts the length of the join paths. Now, The future work is actually an ongoing process. We are currently and actively working on improving the approach with the following. We are changing the graph model to include cyclic paths because we believe that this is a better representation of real-life data repositories. We want to avoid joint path materialization in order to increase the efficiency of our approach. Thirdly, we aim for a dynamic ranking approach. So we want to combine the enumeration and the ranking steps into one single step. And lastly, we want to explore multiple ranking criteria besides having only the filter-based feature selection methods. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and I welcome all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Andra. I have a clarification question actually for the filter-based feature selection ranking. Is this a feature importance metric on each feature in the join path, or is it something totally different?
Feature importance metric on the join path. No, so we are looking at the correlation between different the features from the tables from a join path. So the correlation between this feature and the target label, the target feature that is in the base table. So we are traversing all the paths and comparing the features with the target feature.
Okay, okay, I see. And another question that I have is the decision trees, is it a model that you picked just to start from? Because I can see that these ideas can be also translated to other models. For example, you can say that for the depth of the tree in another model, it could be the number of parameters that you could check for overfitting, or the values of the parameters that you could check for overfitting. So yeah, I was wondering if you are planning to also try other types of machine learning models.
Well, for now, we are focusing on the decision trees only because they are interpretable and explainable. And because of this rationale that we had, that we can use the way a decision tree is working actually in our ranking function. So instead of training the model every time we find a join path, we can actually use this method in our ranking without training the decision tree model. So we only did the training at the end to actually validate our approach. But there is a good suggestion. Thank you. I don't think we are focusing now on other machine learning models. It's going to be future work.
All right, I see. Thanks a lot. Are there any other questions in the audience?